geared up for the second round of the pitch competition. We've done this competition since 2006 or 2007. Companies that come through pitch are very impressive, first of all. It takes a lot of courage to be up on a stage expressing and sharing very quickly in 5 minutes everything that you are working very hard at on a day-to-day basis. So when they're on the stage, smile back at them, because they can feel your energy. You know, let them know that you're listening. Show them appreciation. Make them feel confident, because, man, it is tough being up here. And I don't know about you, but I don't know. Most people, it's nerve-wracking. The lights are bright. Y'all look beautiful, but you don't know how you actually look and how you sound. So let's be supportive of everyone who's on the stage when they get up here, including, of course, the very accomplished judges. The competition this year saw nearly 100 applications from around the world. And what happens is about 30 VCs from all over the world, mostly California, San Francisco, go through a judging process where they evaluate these applications online. And from that judging application, we end up with 10 finalists, 5 of which you've seen now, and 5 of which you're going to see, you've seen yesterday, and 5 of which you're going to see now. And what's going to happen is, at the end of the evening, we're going to be able to showcase to you the most promising startup based on the opinions of judges, which is one very important opinion, one of the investor. Another important opinion we're going to show is what you in the audience think. So I know some of you voted yesterday for your favorite startup from the first 5 pitches. We're going to do that again at the end of the session here. And the 2 top from each session are going to go head-to-head this afternoon, so you're going to get the chance to vote again live and pick the people's choice. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, so let's get started. What I'm going to do is introduce onto the stage all our different judges for the pitch competition. And these judges have done a lot for Women 2.0. They've been on our stage before, they've evaluated companies before, they've spoken before, and they love coming back, and they flew all the way to Vegas, which is why we're so excited to have them here. So first up onto the stage, I'd like to bring on Jeff Clavier. Jeff is the founder of SoftTech VC. And he's invested with a number of companies, including this one that I'm wearing, Fitbit. How many of you have a Fitbit? Show up your hand. Yeah, look! Awesome. Next onto the stage is Aileen Lee. Oh, and following her, we have Jean Sullivan. She is a general partner with StarVest, Aileen Lee with Cowboy Ventures, and Kleiner Perkins. If you haven't checked out TechCrunch lately, she wrote a wonderful post about how to be a unicorn as a company. And so you could read that post and learn how to actually build a billion-dollar business. Next up, we have Shauna Tellerman. She's a partner at Google Ventures. And we also have Andy White, local here from the Vegas Tech Fund. Let's give them a round of applause. So you know how this goes. We're going to have a pitch for 5 minutes, followed by questions, hot seat questions from the judges, and then we'll move on to the next pitch. So it will be fast, it will be furious, but that's what we're here to do. First team, if we could bring them up on stage.
If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a chain one.
Welcome to HotSpot.
Hello, I'm Vijay Ramani. I'm founder and CEO of HotSpot. My female founder, May, she's pregnant. She's not here, so I'm filling in for her. HotSpot is a simple and beautiful way for moms to buy and sell stuff that, pre-loved stuff that kids have outgrown. Yeah, I forgot something. So we all know kids grow very fast.
Great. Just be yourself.
What's that? We all know kids grow very fast. These are pictures of my kid Mihika. And these pictures were taken during a span of about 18 months. Now, Mihika, she outgrew 5 sizes of clothes in 18 months. A lot of toys, and she outgrew and refused to use a lot of toys. And as parents, we spend a lot of money buying clothes, toys, and baby gear. We spent $5,000 over 3 years, right? And the moment I realized we'd spent a lot of money, I wanted to sell some of it and get some cash back that I could actually spend for my daughter's 4th and 5th year needs. But that's when I realized, being a busy parent, every marketplace today is filled with friction. It's broken, it's fragmented. I was learning to be a good parent, and I wasn't spending enough time being a power seller on eBay. You get it. With 40 million kids, and moms spending about $60 billion on clothes, toys, and baby gear, and with 25% of the stuff that kids use, which tend to be in good condition and reusable condition, there's about $15 billion of used inventory that's generated every year. We at HotSpot, our goal is to actually bring all the kids' inventory onto our platform, and let's see how we do it. We are a very simple mobile app. It's extremely simple to open the app, take pictures of stuff that you want to sell, and with a few finger taps, you enter a brief description about the stuff. Since we're a vertical marketplace, we make it extremely easy for moms to be able to list stuff. It takes less than 30 seconds. And once you list a few items, like magic, we create a personal storefront for you. Our goal is to enable every mom to create and manage her personal storefront of stuff that their kids have outgrown. You can share this storefront with your friends and family on Facebook. You can pin it and do all the good stuff. And on the other side of the marketplace, the experience on the app when you launch it is to basically browse and discover stuff that you want to buy for your kid, right? When you like something, you can do low-friction activities like and engage with the seller. But when you really like something and you're ready to buy it, we have a very simple payment-integrated checkout. You enter your credit card, and you're ready to actually get the stuff that you like. Apart from the buying and selling and discovery, what excites us the most about HotSpot is the community that we're developing around HotSpot. So remember that kids grow fast, but their growth is extremely predictable too. So what we essentially do is enable moms to follow moms that have older kids from whom you can derive inspiration and review on products. We've done themed events like Stroller Saturday, where we get a lot of moms onto our platform where they take pictures of strollers that their kids don't use anymore, and other moms can come engage with the moms that are selling and buy it. It just works. In terms of status, we were a private beta in SF for a couple of months. We recently launched the app to the App Store 2 weeks ago, and we will be and we're only accessible for parents that live in SF Bay Area for the next couple of months. We'll be launching nationwide soon. We launched on the 1st of November. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen and mighty pleased with the number of downloads and the user engagement we're seeing. Just in terms of number of downloads, we've seen from the first week to the second week about 2.5 times more downloads and signups. From the beta, what we learned is 80% of the users, the moment they list one item, they come back to list more items because it's that simple. And average number of, it's $230 per average seller that's listed on the platform. 56% of our users are actively engaged. I'm going to, okay, quickly. My name is Vijay. I come from a background where I was an engineer. I did marketing for some time. I met my co-founder, May, at Wharton, where we did B-School. We're both parents and extremely passionate about solving this problem. Our third co-founder, Vikrant, is an awesome engineer from IIT, and he's built mobile apps before. Download the app, and I think the time is up.
Is this on? Good job with your presentation. Can you talk a little bit about the logistics side of how you reduce friction in terms of making it easy for people to sell once they've gotten a bid?
The logistics side of...
yeah, so is it white glove? Is it peer-to-peer shipping?
So there's two ways that you can actually fulfill. There is the local pickup as well as shipping. So we enable shipping much the same way that Poshmark or Threadflip does. We don't have a white glove. We are actually experimenting with a white glove pickup where we aggregate supply, and there would be a selling agent that would actually sell on behalf of a busy parent.
How do you ensure the photos are actually high quality, the photos obviously have a lot to do with it selling.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're working on, educating our early users. So the reason we're actually planning on growing organically is to grow through education. Photos are important. We're doing hail videos on what is a good picture, bright background and a bright light and things like that. So we've seen good pictures. We also curate some of the stuff.
That was actually my question, which is how do you curate the photos and how do you make sure that the items which are put on the marketplace are really in good shape? Because the issue with kid stuff is that it can be broken, and if you look at consignment stores, they are full of crap, essentially. And if you get crap on your marketplace, that will drive engagement and quality down. So how do you sustain it?
So in terms of listing, we allow sellers to list just 3 types in terms of categories. There is new with tags, like new, which has been open but not used very much in excellent condition. So we're not a marketplace for junk. And when a seller actually does sell junk and a buyer reports that it is junk, we actually stand by the buyer and we delist the seller from being able to participate in the future.
And you have a community person who actually looks at the new items to make sure that if something doesn't look good, either the picture is rejected and you ask the seller to actually put it back, or just reject the item.
The former. We go through the pictures currently today, but we're planning on crowdsourcing some of the curation as well.
I also noticed in your competitors, you listed just eBay and Craigslist, but I've seen several other mobile apps like IttyZen, or I think renamed KittyZen now, and some others. Can you talk about how you're going to differentiate from those other applications?
So the big players that have a lot of mind and market share is eBay and Craigslist. There is ThreadUp, which does kids' clothing. In terms of the mobile marketplace, we haven't come across any that's done this very well. There's OfferUp that's Seattle-based, which is a mom-to-mom marketplace, but it's not just focused on kids vertical. We actually provide a much simpler experience because we focus on just one vertical.
Can I just add to that? So Poshmark, as you know, does this well, I think, for women's clothing. They're not in the kids market yet, but let's assume that they launch it in 2014.
Sure.
How will you differentiate from Poshmark?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I've talked to a couple of guys from Poshmark, and I think they're going after a very different and a beautiful market. So I think they would basically dilute their user experience if they were to expand their categories. But having said that, they could launch a paddle repurposed platform called Posh Kids or whatever that is, right? So our goal is to actually run fast, build our community very quickly. We're building our experience both for local pickup as well as through shipping. So we're enabling shipping API, and for local pickup, we're actually integrating Twilio and things like that for anonymity, which actually gives us a leg up in terms of how the technology actually powers us.
And time. Thank you very much. Next up, we have college apps. Please join Tina to the stage. Tina Neville, please join us.
Watch the clock.
Yes. Go ahead.
Where's the clicker? The clicker. Where's the clicker? All right, no problem. Great. Okay, sorry about that. My name is Tina Neville with College Apps. So when I was a high school teacher in Washington, D.C., many of my students were first-generation immigrant or minority students, and they didn't have traditional support units at home to help them. So when it was time for them to apply to college, they just didn't know what to do. My kids in DC are reflective of a larger national trend, because the truth is in the next 5 years, future college-bound students will grow by up to 42% among first-generation immigrant, minority, and international students. And they don't have traditional tools to really help them navigate the entire college admissions and financial aid process. And these students shouldn't have to just settle for any schools, because universities are actively trying to target them. So College Apps is building for a trend. Did you know that 60% of colleges this year did not meet freshman enrollment goals? And meanwhile, they spent $2,500 per enrollee in marketing dollars. On top of that, Princeton is recruiting first-generation Latino males and is having trouble finding a source for this demographic. College Apps attempts to solve this problem in two ways. Now, on the front end, it's an online platform that step-by-step takes students through the entire college admissions and financial aid process. It's like a TurboTax for college admissions. We don't sell directly to students, but rather to organizations that already have a budget and a mission to provide this service. It's an $8 billion industry. Now, our competitive advantage on the front end is that we're simple and accessible. And for students, that means that they can make smarter college choices. For organization administrators and school staff, it means that they save time and they save costs to manage their growing number of students. We also provide multilingual support, which means that the students will have a broader community to support them. Now, on the back end, we take that data and provide micro-targeted analysis for prospective applicants for universities, online and trade schools, and others in a $44 billion market. Our competitive advantage here is that we're not a typical lead generation company. We don't sell just typical lists. Rather, we really analyze the data and micro-target what the prospective applicant wants so that we can then help universities find them, in the same way that political campaigns help candidates find and win over voters. Now, because we do care about our students, we're on top of the ethics and compliance in this market. So how do we know that it works? Well, in the first 60 days when we launched this summer, we launched to 400 student users. We gathered $10,000 of revenue on the front end, and then we received great customer feedback. Chris Latham here, a high school guidance counselor, said that students loved the resume function. And then Lydia, an after-school program staff, said that students should begin using the program in 9th grade, which was great for us because then they can use it earlier. Following that, we got some national recognition, a feature in the Chronicle of Higher Education, TechCrunch, and the Department of Education chose College Apps to be one of their partnering programs in their College Pathways program in January. Following that momentum, we then built a sales pipeline of 20,000 students in our 2 test markets of Washington, D.C. and China, which we estimate to generate $545,000 in revenue with lead generations. And then we're continue to scale quickly through key strategic partnerships like the largest education company with 13.5 million students in their SIS system. So what's the business opportunity here? Well, on the front end, we sell licensing fees for $2,500 to $5,000 a year. It's an $8 billion industry. And if we capture 1% of the service addressable market, it's a $21 million company, and it's growing. Now, on the back end, we tap into a larger market by micro-targeting leads of $1 to $50 a student in a $44 billion industry. Again, if we capture just 1% of that, that's a $156 million company, and that market is also growing as well. So here's our projections to Q3 2014. The value of our team is we're incredibly focused on our customer acquisition strategy and our business milestones. So we launched our beta, built our student pipeline, discussing lead gens with university partners, launching our version 1, executing our lead gen pilot, moving to a Series A. So who's the team behind this? I'm really proud because we're all first-generation college students ourselves, which explains our commitment to building the next big education technology company. This is my second ed tech education company, and the first one was a Stevie Business Award winner. Our second, Jocelyn Gamble, is our business strategist, and she's won tens of millions of dollars for Fortune 500 companies. And then Jean Moreau has built products for big education companies like Naviance, Blackboard, and Tutor. So I'm Tina, that's my co-founder Jocelyn. We're both here at Women 2.0. We would love to talk to you to explore partnerships or anything else you might be interested in. Thanks so much.
Perfect timing. Thank you very much. Questions, please?
Great job.
Thank you.
Especially showing us how you're going to build scale. That's impressive. How are you going to rise above the clutter, though? There are a lot of platforms.
Exactly. Well, actually, we're strategic and focused. So we really are targeting the white label knowledge management platform, the A through Z. And there are a couple of competitors out there like Naviance or Connected.U. But what they don't do is they don't build for a trend. And that's why I showed early on the slide that it's growing by 42%. So if you really want to be relevant and build for the future, you have to do that. So simple things like being multilingual. We were able to win over potential clients of others just because we were multilingual. It's really simple, but for them, they're clunky, and they've been operating for a while, so they'd have to redo their system from the beginning. The second thing is in this target demographic, community is really important. So my aunt went here, therefore I should go here. My uncle went here, right? So we actually connect through Facebook, and that was one of the big wins that we heard from one of our charter school beta partners, that being able to do that meant that they could connect with more people socially, and it's just important.
Is there friction between the license and the white label you're trying to do early and the much bigger opportunity on the lead gen? Because if the bigger opportunity is lead gen, why don't you sort of give it away? I mean, maybe not give it away, but at least really try and go for the big prize as opposed to the small one.
Well, we try to be smart, right? And right now as a startup, we know that we can get money from licensing fees, and we priced it pretty affordably because that's what our competitors are charging. And it's been easy to win contracts in that regard, right? If we get to a point where it makes sense to offer it for free to scale quicker, absolutely, we can talk about that. It just doesn't seem that case right now. People are willing to pay.
So one of the things that I get nervous about sometimes for startups is dependency on partnerships early on to acquire customers. So what about these partnership conversations gives you confidence that this is the right strategy versus basically doing acquisition yourselves instead of partnerships?
Yeah, well, you scale more quickly. So when I talk about our 20,000 student pipeline, we did that through only 3 partners. We did that with one, a DC charter school board grassroots campaign that gave us access to 8 schools immediately. The second one was an education foundation in China, which gave us 1 CTO to work with to oversee 10 to 20 schools, right? And then the third one was with a college in the DC area that oversaw 10 schools. So when I talk about partnerships in terms of customer acquisition, it's just being more focused on, it's easier to get 20 schools negotiating with 3 people than 20 schools negotiating with 20 people.
So you had the $10,000 initially, scaling up to 76,000. What's the split on the 76,000 between your base and then the commission on the sales side?
In terms of the legions?
The placement, yeah. The platform versus the placement.
Got it. Okay, so when we did our pipeline, my projection and analysis, it was $76,000 in white label licenses fees only. Because as part of our strategic rollout, what we're doing exactly right now is saying, hey, we already projected $1 for a low quality lead, $10 for a medium quality lead, $20 for a high quality lead. So we're talking to universities and say, hey, if we can, does that make sense given our market targeting analysis? So I wasn't comfortable putting a price dollar until we knew that we could prove that out, and that's what we're doing in November and December.
Can you just talk a little bit about, in the pilots that you've done, if a system had 20 schools, how many students and what kind of adoption rate you saw in terms of like people using it, and then maybe do you measure engagement 30 days after, 60 days after, what % of people are staying with the product?
I wish high school students just did things on their own all the time, but that's not the case. And being a high school teacher, I know that. So students use it if their parents tell them to use it, and if their guidance counselor tells them to use it, because a 16-year-old can't imagine 2 years ahead of time going to college. So in terms of the student user rate, I wish I could say, oh my gosh, they're using it every day. But the truth is the students are using it insofar as their organization administrators are helping them use it, right? So in terms of the usage rate, it's 100% when they're in the classroom. And so that's why we targeted it specifically as a white label initially, so that we can ensure adoption rate, because we also want to verify that data. That's a second data point we want to test too, because that leads into the bigger market opportunity.
And we're good? Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Tina. Judges, how you doing? Good? Got enough water? Got enough mics? Cool. Okay, going on to the next. We have Jen and Patrick representing CareLulu. Let's give them a hand.
Hi, I'm Jen, co-founder of CareLulu. And these are my daughters, Eva and Maya. They're websites for just about anything. So when I needed daycare, I thought I'd find a website to help. I quickly realized that there wasn't. The only available solutions were lists of daycares nearby with little information. So I had to go through the list, calling every provider, asking the same questions over and over again. How much does it cost? Do you accept infants? Do you have a playground? And let's not forget about safety. Did you know that 20% of daycares in the US are not licensed? Parents have no idea where to get the data, and they're too busy. So we created CareLulu to make it easy to find safe and affordable daycare or preschool. We verify that all providers on our site are licensed, and we provide all the information in just one place. Let's see how it works.
I input my zip code and instantly get a list of daycares. To identify the right one for my family without going through the entire list, I'll do a personalized search. I'm looking for a center that costs no more than $300 a week, that opens at 6 a.m. and closes at 6 p.m. It needs to accept 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds and have computers, a playground, and video cameras for safety. I also need a peanut-free environment, and I want my daughters to learn Spanish. I went from dozens of daycares to just 5 that match my exact needs. When I click on a daycare, I can see photos of the facilities and staff. There are also tuition rates for various part-time options and multiple kids. There's detailed information on the learning environment, teachers, and safety. And it's very easy to request more info or schedule a tour. So instead of spending hours researching daycare providers, in just 1 minute, I found a daycare that I know fits my needs and my budget.
Childcare is a $47 billion industry, and our estimated addressable market is $7 billion based on what daycares spend to acquire customers. CareLulu is free for parents. Daycares can join for free, but pay a monthly subscription fee for premium features. But that's just the beginning. Here's what we've learned from our daycares. They're swamped. And just like any business, they need to create a website, do marketing, communicate with parents on a daily basis, and maintain their license. Oh, and I almost forgot, they need to care for children. The market is dominated by small businesses, and it's underserved. There's no one-stop solution for daycares to manage their entire business, and a lot of it is still done with pen and paper. Daycares have already come asking for help in some of these areas. Building a single integrated solution for 800,000 providers is our long-term vision. But to achieve that, we must first dominate the market and acquire a large network of daycares and parents. By focusing on our marketplace, we will do exactly that. There are lots of players trying to connect daycares and parents. There are several websites like daycare.com that offer a directory, and several similar to care.com that do a great job with finding nannies or babysitters. But when it comes to daycare and preschool, parents still have to contact every provider on the list. CareLulu saves parents time while finding a safe environment. By sending daycares high-quality leads, we save them precious time as well. We are a team of 3 co-founders, an engineer with product development experience who holds 11 patents and who produced $100 million in annual savings for a previous employer, a developer who helped start Groupon in Brazil, and a mom who founded a magazine at 16 and who led a team of 40 staff. We launched our marketplace in the Washington, D.C. area 3 months ago, and in that time, the number of daycares on our site grew by 100%, and the number of parents who signed up grew by 400%. The number of daycares, 7% of daycares converted to premium profiles, which means they were paying customers, and the monthly unique visitors on our site already represent 10% of the parents in the D.C. area in need of daycare. All this growth was primarily through community outreach and without significant paid marketing. Next year, we will expand to the 3 largest daycare markets in the US, and we'll accelerate our growth. We're looking for partners in these new markets, so if you are in the family space, come talk to us. We're CareLulu, and CareLulu finds the best daycare for you.
Perfect, thank you. Questions, please?
How much are you guys sort of charging for the SaaS fee on a monthly or yearly basis?
Yeah, so we have different plans, different tiers. It goes from $9 a month to $49 a month, and most of the daycare providers choose to pay on an annual basis. We have incentives for them to do that.
And since you're going door to door, at least at the beginning, how long do you need to recap your acquisition cost?
Well, we're not really going door to door. To acquire daycares, you mean? Mm-hmm. Or, yeah. So what we've done a lot of different things to acquire daycares. Most of them have come through email marketing. Mm-hmm. You are right that we need some more old school, I would say, strategies. So we've done a lot of direct mail because some of those, especially home-based daycares, are not as tech-savvy. Some don't have a website. So for those, direct mail has been pretty effective.
If I may add, we are also working to partner with a number of associations, childcare associations, that already have a network of providers. And again, a lot of home-based daycares don't even have an email address. So that's when the direct mail actually worked very well. Otherwise, it's through emails.
So building on that, obviously building two-sided marketplace with one side being SMBs is difficult, and then acquiring customers on the other side, especially given that there's a landscape of big players here who probably have a fairly large spend on marketing and SEO. So how do you plan to stand out on that side of the equation, even with these kind of set of competitive differentiations, just kind of going up against these big players from a spend perspective?
Yeah, so most of, and maybe you want to say a little bit how we've been acquiring the parents, that's been working pretty well, and then.
Yeah, so again, like I mentioned, most of the parents we got was through community outreach and influencers. We've built relationships with a number of mom bloggers who have actually spread the word about our service. We haven't really spent much money on any kind of marketing. We also have, because of the problem that we're solving for parents, it affects pretty much any parent who's looking for daycare. We've received a number of press coverage, and so that helped spread the word for both parents and daycares as well. And
so in terms of the competitors, you know, specifically addressing that part of the question, like you say, there are lots of players. One of them, for example, that most of the audience, definitely all of you guys will know, is Urban Sitter and how they've been growing like crazy. And we think that shows that there's really a need for the parents here and that they're really ready now to you know, use technology to find childcare. The problem is that you know, you find a babysitter, you find a nanny, it's something that you need to book. But when you're looking at long-term daycare and preschool, it's not something that you just want to book, right? It's something that your child is going to be in that place for a year, 2, 3. So you really want to have, you know, all the information, and it's really about finding that perfect daycare for your family, as opposed to for a babysitter, it's about the convenience of being able to book that babysitter when you need it. So that's where we're different. And we don't think we're competing in terms of acquiring the customers. We actually think that we're complementary, and so we'll be looking at, you know, partnership with some of these companies in the same space.
And what is the unique asset right now that you guys have that would keep, say, like a care.com from copying, like let's say the filtering starts working pretty well?
I think I can answer that. There are a few things. The first thing is we actually validate that the daycares on our site are all licensed, which means that they have undergone the background checks, regular inspections, and that they have the proper training and the proper procedures in place. All the other daycare sites usually are just listings, directories, so anybody can create an ad, essentially.
So there's a curation aspect.
There's a curation aspect. The second thing that's very important for parents is this time-saving tool, which is a personalized search. We actually have all the information in one place, and we make it searchable so that if you have a particular budget, if you're looking for a peanut-free environment or even a tree-nut-free environment, which may be very difficult to find, you would have to call every single daycare and ask the same question. With our site, you can select the criteria that are important to your family, and we will narrow down the results, only showing those daycares that would apply to you.
The other thing I would add, because I see we're running out of time, why like big players like care.com can't just implement like a very detailed personalized search like we have on our website with all of their existing daycare providers, is that they don't have the data. They have very basic information that, you know, anybody can just scrape from different sources if you know where to look, like hours or maybe capacity, number of children it can get, and contact information, but very little beyond that. And we have actually all the information that parents want about a daycare provider.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Up next, Infinite PDF, and we're going to have Caitlin join us on the stage.
good to go. Okay. So my story is full of serendipitous twists and turns as the way that life unfolds. And I'm sure the same is true for many of you. So something that Tony Hsieh said yesterday really resonated with me, that a great brand is a story that never stops unfolding. And I think that's true for any story, that if you tell a better one, it's more likely to engage an audience and then inspire action. So I am Caitlin Leister. I'm the CEO of Reorient Media, and I'm here to introduce Infinite PDF, a tool that will help you unfold your stories in multiple directions. Right now, we have the current tools we have lock us into a rigid structure of presenting. We're not able to adapt to our audiences on the fly and really rearrange content so it's most useful to deliver a message. I heard a story actually last night from another conference attendee about a woman who had put together a presentation that her boss had asked her to do, and she had been trying to think about how she could deliver it. She's very creative, and she was having a lot of hard time trying to figure out what it was going to look like in the PowerPoint presentation. So she had put it together a couple of iterations, she had sent it to her boss, and he just was not getting it. So she decided to go back to the drawing board, took out 3 big pieces of paper, laid them out on the wall, drew the whole map of what it was going to look like, and came to him and said, "This is the only way that I'm able to convey this message to you, because it can go in these different directions and it connects to these different things." So he said, "You know what, it's risky, but if you think that you can pull it off, let's give it a try." They went into the meeting the next day, totally successful, and they landed the deal. So if she had had Infinite PDF, she might have been a little bit more stress-free. And it might have looked something like this when she was putting it together. This is a video that I did of something that I was putting together for this conference. I had a linear structure, breaking it up into different sections, moving things around very quickly and easily to structure things, and then adding things like cinematic transitions to connect different tiles that were non-adjacent. And then you can see that my main structure and narrative is over here, but I have all of the different sections that I've isolated to be able to dive deeper where I need it. So we're initially targeting the presenters on the iPad. And of the 240 million iPads that will be in use by the end of next year, there will be approximately 28 million that are used for productivity and business, of which 9.4 million will purchase add-ons and alternatives, which we consider ourselves to be a part of. And over the next 18 months, we plan to target the 1.5 million early adopters and innovators, hopefully which a lot of you in the room are. And this is not just the only market. This is huge. I mean, how many people use PDFs? Education is a clear opportunity for how we can add innovation there. The publishing market is another market that we are going to be breaking into. And what is even bigger is enterprise. That's something that's down the road and is going to be a great place to explore this product, adding innovation, because how many PDFs exist in enterprise? So we are part of a complementary ecosystem. We are compatible across all of the popular presentation tools because they all export to PDF, and you're able to import them into our app via Dropbox or the web. So what does it take to pull it off? Well, you need a team that does things like standards. My co-founder and CTO, Christopher Allen, is the co-author of the SSL standard, which allows people to have secure communication online. We need somebody who ships things. Callie Alm is someone who has shipped things for over 10 years, and you need somebody who's going to be able to communicate the story, and that's where I come in. How are we going to get it out there? Well, we are currently selling it in the App Store for $9.99. We're also looking to key impact, high impact presenters who are going to be evangelizing on behalf of us. We are also offering white label services to organizations and companies. As of right now, we already have an educational institution in the works to do white label for. And then we offer a storefront that allows people to share and sell their content online. And right now, you can already share Infinite PDFs. And in the next week or so, we'll have a free app that allows you to view them. And then on the Mac as well, that's another platform. So right now, we've launched. We are going to be looking to close initial funding by the beginning of next year. Our platform expansion includes things like Windows, Android, other platforms in the web that allow people to see these and create these easily.
30 seconds.
We'll be working on traction with our customer base and then breaking into enterprise. So we all love free stuff. I'd love to be able to offer all of you Infinite PDF for free. Go to the iPad app, or the App Store on your iPad, download it for free today, and give us a rating or review. That'd be great. Thank you, Women 2.0, for having me, and congratulations to all the other pitch finalists.
Thank you. Questions from the judges, please.
Very good job. I think the world does need better tools, but how in the heck do you really get adoption and get it out there? And part two is, what kind of capital to make that happen to really acquire customers?
The first question, how do you get it out there? How do you really kind of get it into the hands of key people? Well, we currently have some people on our advisory board that are really key impact big players, especially in the presentation market. We've had Duarte on board as an early beta tester. We have Dave Gray, who's the author of Game Storming, who's an early advisor. And we're really looking to the key players that are looking to innovate the space of presentation and storytelling to help spread our story. Another way that you had asked about how much you need to get this going, we are looking to kind of initially get a seed round that will allow us to build our team to really capture the marketing that's going to be necessary to get there. And beyond that, we will look then to raise more money once we decide to go into enterprise and start kind of competing with the heavy hitters.
So it might just be me, but the demo actually intimidated me a little bit. It seemed like it actually might be hard to use, and that you have to be a pretty sophisticated thinker about your presentation before you start to use your product. So I'd be interested in what kind of, like, is this for like a superpower user that might be like an in-house designer that would use this versus like a regular salesperson?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I apologize, the video had to be sped up so you could see what I had done. It probably happened about over the span of about 15 minutes, but each one of the pages of your slide deck becomes a movable tile that you can very easily just touch and move, and a chain of tiles will then move with it, or if you segregate it intentionally, then you can move it around on the infinite canvas. And I think that when you kind of go into it, once you start thinking, oh, I have the option to either go in this direction or this direction, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to make it so that I can have a path this way and a path that way. And it takes seconds to draw a path and choose a transition. And it's we've designed it so that it's very easy to use, very innovative and intuitive.
So is it a builder or is it a viewer that you buy for $9.99?
For $9.99, it's the authoring tool, so it allows you to author on the iPad. We really want to move people to seeing the iPad as more of a creation device rather than just a consumption device. And then we're also offering the free viewer so that if you create something and you want to send it to somebody else, they can see it for free without having to download the app.
So that makes sense, but don't you think that $9.99 is a very low price point for something that will be used by a subset of the audience for your particular application?
I think that it's something that we've researched and kind of identified as that being a compatible price with other things that exist right now, other PDF readers and tools like that. Once we start to add in more features, we're going to increase the price and offer additional upgrades. And when we do a full suite, then that'll be a higher price point.
How do you think about Prezi? Because obviously they've both made good traction, but also have stood up against a giant player in the space. Like,
yeah.
How are you guys looking at that?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. So Prezi is a great tool. They also use an infinite canvas, and there are a couple key differences between what we're doing. We also use an infinite canvas, and everything that you, every asset that you create, you can move around on it. And Prezi actually still forces you into a linear structure once you push play. So what we do is actually really open up that space so that you can flexibly jump around, and you don't have the forced zooming motion. So you can add little cinematic effects, but it's not the same kind of thing. And we are right now compatible with Prezi's, anything that you've created in a Prezi, because they all export to PDF.
Sorry, one more question. Do you have any way of telling whether people who use this as a presentation tool have better results than people who don't use it?
There are a few people that we've already talked to that have kind of been big power players in testing this out, and the feedback and response that we've gotten has been really inspiring. A lot of the reviews that we've already gotten in the App Store are really kind of along those lines of, this is the tool that I've been waiting for, and I didn't realize I wanted it until I saw it.
Any other questions? Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Next up, we have, wait, before next up, last one. Yeah. That would have been our 10th finalist, right? We're on the last one, just checking. Okay, got this weird look from the side. What? How are you guys doing, judges? Feeling good? Awesome. Team out here, audience, ready for the last one? Traveling Spoon. Ashi, please join us. Ow!
Hi everyone, I'm Ashi Vale, and along with my co-founder Steph Lawrence have started Traveling Spoon. We are an online marketplace that connects travelers with local and authentic food experiences, from homemade meals to cooking classes in people's homes around the world. The big problem in the tourism industry these days is that authentic experiences are really hard to find. You asked for an authentic restaurant recommendation, and I instead sent to an overcrowded touristy place. And this is not how travelers want to experience authentic food and culture. The opportunity truly is enormous. Tourists are spending $26 billion on culinary experiences happening outside of restaurants. Everything from market and wine tours to cooking classes. Recent trends show that the time is right. We've seen an explosion in the shareable economy, what with Airbnb and Lyft changing how we travel and commute. The home dining space is a huge opportunity. Our solution is a beautifully designed website where you can see our featured hosts, their food and homes, and book an experience online. We went live in July, and we wanted you to hear directly from our customers what they think of Traveling Spoon.
On my trip to India, I had a Traveling Spoon dinner, and it was absolutely the highlight of my trip. I had dishes that I had never seen in my travels across the country.
I love Traveling Spoons so much that I'm going to use them on my next adventure to Thailand.
You just heard from our travelers why they love Traveling Spoon. What about our hosts? Traveling Spoon allows our hosts, mostly women, the opportunity to make money doing what they love. Our hosts tell us that they love practicing their English and showing off their cooking skills. And this has allowed the host side of our marketplace to scale rapidly. 50% of our hosts are from host referrals. We launched in July, we booked over 60 experiences, and what makes the long hours really worth it is hearing from our customers that Traveling Spoon was the highlight of their trip. And here are some of those reviews from travelers we don't know. Our preliminary revenue model is based on a commission per transaction. Traveling Spoon takes up to 40% when a traveler pre-books and pays online. We then pay our hosts at the end of each month. From our commission model alone, we project revenues of over $1 million a month in 2016. What would this look like? We would be serving 14 travelers a day in 40 cities throughout Asia, each paying on average $60 for an experience. We're seeing huge demand. We've partnered with just 3 tour operators who are driving 50% of our reservations, and there is an enormous ecosystem just waiting to be tapped. There are a few new players in the market, which continues to provide evidence that there is a growing market for these sorts of culinary experiences. It may appear that this is a low barrier to entry market, but we have a sustainable and a significant competitive advantage. We have channel partnerships lined up. Our regional focus is Asia, where it's hard to find an authentic meal with a local who speaks English and serves you bottled water. We have extensive ties to Asia, and just the emerging market tourism boom is incredible. Our brand, we're establishing our brand as a destination for authentic food experiences by promising a level of quality and betterness that our competitors do not offer. Steph and I have extensive expertise in design, marketing, web, and product development. I'm a patent holder and have designed several award-winning products for over 11 years. Steph is a marketing genius with a deep tech background and has worked really closely with Alice Waters, who's a strong supporter. We're excited to share that even at this early stage, we've had many people come up to us who want to join Traveling Spoon and donate their time to projects they are passionate about, including someone, Swati, who found us through Women 2.0 and is in the audience today. We have an incredible team of advisors who bring expertise from travel and technology, representing companies such as Lyft, TripAdvisor, Google, and several startups. We got some great press, and were recently featured by Business Insider as the startup to watch in Silicon Valley. We have 65 hosts in 15 cities in India, Thailand, and Vietnam, and excited to share that we were recently announced the winners of the Venture Lab competition and were awarded $12,000 in prize money. Over the past 2 years, Steph and I have spent every spare minute and all of our savings on Traveling Spoon because we believe it will change the future of travel.
30 seconds.
So what can you do? If you're an accredited angel, come talk to us. If you like us on Facebook. And lastly, we know many of you are avid travelers in the audience. So if you contact us before 6 p.m. tomorrow, we will give you an authentic Traveling Spoon experience to India, Thailand, or Vietnam for free. Just sign up on our website and mention Women 2.0. Thank you.
Great job. All righty, judges, it's all you.
Ashi, I have both a comment and a question.
Yes.
I was one of the pre-judges for this, and I called in my partners and I said, look at this. I cannot figure out if this is like incredible and is really going to catch on or the craziest idea I've ever heard. I am a foodie and I am planning to travel extensively, but you did not, so here's my question. I am fascinated by the hygiene part of it.
Absolutely.
I would absolutely cook for someone, and people could believe if they ate out of my kitchen that no 6-year-old has their hands in the food, and that it's a sterile kitchen, and no issues.
Yeah.
But how do you trust that? How can you build that? I do suppose if people can sleep in beds like Airbnb all over the world, they can eat in your kitchen, from your kitchen. But help us with that issue.
How do you develop trust? Trust and credibility is incredibly important to us. And our biggest asset with our brand is just delivering that promise of vettedness and safety. Every one of our experiences has been personally vetted. And granted, this is not the way to scale it, but when I first met with Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb, he said, don't worry about getting 100,000 people to like you. Get 100 people to love you, and the 100,000 will follow. So we took that to heart, and every one of our hosts has been personally vetted. We have very stringent vetting requirements in terms of safety, whether they have pets, whether if they can accommodate people with allergies. In the midterm, we have Traveling Spoon ambassadors. These are people who have this sense of adventure, and like you are foodies, who want to go and vet these hosts home for us in exchange for a free meal, and they give us a free unbiased review with our checklists and our guidelines. And in the long term, just like Yelp did, we want to have regional managers that will do spot checks and ensure that the quality remains consistent. We're also having reviews in our system so that hosts want to continue to improve. And right now, just through our experiences, our hosts are always asking us for feedback. And there's a great feedback loop that goes on between the travelers and our hosts. So that is our biggest asset.
So Asia's a good, big market, but it's not everything. How will you decide when to go someplace else, and then how are you going to decide where to go next?
That's a great question. We have, we always go, we've been going back and forth when we started 2 years ago about, do we want to be everywhere, or do we want to really focus on one market and own it? And we've decided to focus for a couple of reasons. We both spent time in Asia, and we know what it takes, what Asia can offer, and what Western travelers want, because we've straddled both worlds. We also know about, just having done it for 2 years now, what are the sorts of things that people ask for when they travel to Asia? In India, it's about bottled water. In Vietnam, it's how do I get from one place to the other? Logistics, alcohol upsells, all sorts of things. And we've been learning, and we feel really confident now that we have understood India, Thailand, and Vietnam. And we will continue to test and continue to learn. And in the next, we now know that China and Japan are just incredible culinary destinations, and that's where we aim to focus next. But we have very regional focused expansion right now.
So how will you know when it's time to go into those next markets?
So we have tour operators that we're working with who go to all, they're working with us already, and they have on their routes all these different cities, and we're only in a few of them. And as soon as we've got enough great just feedback, and right now we've already got so many travelers who want to go to these different cities, and we want to make sure that there's a critical mass before we enter those markets.
So I love the idea. I think that especially the cooking class piece of it is a great way to start. I think people are looking for unique experiences when they travel. I think there's also opportunities for partnerships, like couchsurfing seems like a natural one. A lot of also the experience gifting kinds of solutions. So I'm wondering, like, as you're thinking about geography, when people go to the city, like, how are you thinking about like location. It seems like some of these people that they might want to go, the homes they might want to go to are kind of far or hard to get to potentially.
Yes.
How do you kind of connect them to those homes and make it easy and safe for them to get to it?
Absolutely. So that was one of the learnings that we had. We had, homes and hosts, and then we've heard from our travelers that they want the transportation part of it as well, especially in some cities, just as you mentioned. And our hosts have actually come forward and said, for an additional charge, we will go pick them up and drop them off, or connect them with cabs and taxi services that they trust and that are local, so they're not going to rip the tourists off. And that's worked really well. For an upsell of $5 to $10 per person, the transportation charge has really worked well as an asset for us.
Maybe a quick last comment and question.
Sure.
For those of you who saw Tina Sharkey's talk before, this feels like one of those unlocking joy kind of companies, which is just you're enabling tons of personal connection, which I think is fantastic. One thing you mentioned about the financials, a $12 million run rate in 2016. It feels a little small to be able to attract a kind of investor capital. So have you thought about whether you need to attract non-traditional investors or if there are other ways that you actually could grow faster?
So like I said, what we really value is building our brand. We're not interested in being everywhere at the same time and being a social experience. Ours is about providing authenticity and quality. And yes, it will take time for us to build that brand, which is why we're looking for angel investment right now to get us there. And then in the 4th and 5th year projections, our projections really go high.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys.
Judges, 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 thank you so much.